Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to build their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing spotlights on remarkable attorneys across the country with a focus on elder law and estate planning in celebration of Elder Law Month. Today, joining me from Milwaukee, Wisconsin is Avery, Mayne. Avery, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I appreciate it.
I know elder law and estate planning is a broad topic, so please tell us a little bit about your areas of focus and specifically the types of clients that you help.
Sure. So, my practice is specifically emphasizing elder and special needs law. So, I work with families who have either a disabled child, a disabled family member, or a family member in more of their twilight years looking at long term care options, both from a decision making standpoint, but also from a funding standpoint, and how to navigate that kind of complex web of benefits, legal issues, different types of care options.
So I know that there's not a lot of awareness, and that's what we're trying to do here, bring more awareness to this topic. These families that you serve that have children with special needs, do you find that they tend to plan a lot sooner than most folks, or what has been the trend?
So, I have seen an increase in families having a good support system. I think a lot of that is coming from the schools and transitioning from special education programs into adulthood. And the schools really have done a good job of connecting families with the next set of resources when their disabled child becomes an adult. So, connecting them either with their local aging and disability resource center, sometimes other private organizations who might help connect the family with not necessarily school, but adult programming and adult skills programs. And sometimes they get connected with law attorneys. I would say more often they're connected with us through those disability and resource centers. But schools are doing a good job transitioning families and letting them know there are options and there are support programs out there for them.
And I'd imagine those parents really do need to get this, really all their ducks in a row because of the
Mhm.
fact that if something was to happen to them and they became disabled, let's talk about what are some of the dangers that could happen if they became incapacitated and unable to care for their adult children with special needs. What would happen then?
Sure. So, different from typical adult children who you may just be concerned with them spending money the way you don't think they should, there's a whole load of other issues that come with disabled children. A lot of them don't have the same earning capacity that educated adults, young adults typically have. And so a lot of them have to go on to Social Security or other medical insurance benefits, either provided through the federal government or the state government, to really cover their basic necessities. Um, and if the parents don't plan properly, the disabled child receiving an inheritance from their parents could really jeopardize those benefits that they're on. And so they might lose that income. They might lose those benefits that cover their health insurance, have to come off of those programs, spend down the inheritance on things that their parents probably didn't want them to have to spend it on, and then reapply and go back into those programs, which is a mess. So it's much easier to recognize that you've got to do specialized planning if you have a disabled child that's an adult, and include them in your estate plan a way that's going to make their inheritance accessible to the child, but also preserve the benefits that they're on. The other thing that parents should consider and think about as part of their planning when they have disabled adult children is the parents probably are their legal guardian. They probably do go through the court process when their child turns 18 and are recognized as the decision maker. And that's great. But the other important piece is making sure there's a good standby, whether it's your child's other siblings, maybe they have an older brother or a sister who is going to be around to help support their disabled sibling, or other family members or close friends who are going to be able to step in if something happens to those parents.
Now, on the other side of the coin, let's say with those adult children with special needs, now they should have some sort of a plan and their ducks in a row as well. Should they become disabled, or how does that work when it comes to a parent and a child with special needs that maybe can't make those kind of decisions for themselves?
So if the child can't make the decisions for themselves, or, maybe some days they are lucid, medications are working great for them, and then other days they can't make decisions, in order to help make sure that child is supported, it's going to make sense for the parent to either have a legal guardianship, or in some states, it's called a conservatorship. So the authority to make decisions for their child. Or if the disabled child is more independent, but has always relied on their parents to talk through decisions, making sure their child puts their powers of attorney documents and their advance directives in place. So if they are in an accident, or if something does take a turn with their medications, or one of their, medical diagnosis flares up and they can't make a decision, the power of attorney can be enacted and used, and the parent could step in and help at that time.
Really interesting insights. So, besides this lack of awareness or lack of information, there's probably a lot of misinformation out there. Have you heard any myths or misconceptions that are really glaring out there?
I mean, there's definitely information out there that is given to the general public in an incorrect way. I would say more when it comes to benefits and what are the eligibility rules and what types of people qualify for things and don't qualify for things. Because depending on where you get that information, people have an incentive to help you obtain those benefits or not help you obtain those benefits. Um, so while your aging and resource centers are always a great place to start when you are thinking about applying for Social Security disability, or looking at Medicaid or Medicare options to pay for your insurance, your aging and resource center is a government entity, and they have an interest in protecting benefits and not making sure that too many people are receiving benefits. So they're not always going to tell you all of the loopholes, or the other ways that you can protect assets that maybe an elder law attorney or some kind of a care specialist is going to tell you about. So I wouldn't say there's misconceptions, but you have to really consider where you're getting your information from. Kind of the same with everything. It's like your news. You gotta recognize what perspective you're getting your news from. So I think the best thing to avoid getting not the full picture is to have a whole team assembled. So working with your ADRC to maybe work through at the local level what options are available, but also having an elder law attorney in your back pocket who can actually tell you what the law says, to help you access those benefits.
Avery, what inspired you to make elder law, and specifically families with special needs elder law? Uh, what inspired you to make that your focus? How did you get started in the field?
I was really fortunate. When I graduated from law school, I was working for an attorney who did elder law, and she did traditional family law, so divorce, custody, and placement issues. And I just found myself gravitating more and more towards the elder law side, um, because it is still very much family law. That's who my clients are. But as opposed to fighting over assets and where the kids live, we're fighting for access to benefits that everyone deserves and everyone has paid into or everyone has a right to, or making sure that good decision makers are in place. Um, but the more that I look back on it, and that was kind of my track as an attorney, I've been involved with the disability world my whole life. In high school, I was a member of our disability awareness club. I grew up as a swimmer and I used to teach swim lessons specifically to people with disabilities. I think I just always gravitated towards that population and felt very fortunate that I didn't have those complexities in my life. And so, how could I help make a disabled person's life a little bit easier? So, it's always been a part of my life. And I I ended up in this area of the law and I'm so thankful.
That's really wonderful, especially because this is really specialized knowledge that
Mhm.
few have. So that's terrific. For folks listening now that are in Wisconsin or areas that you can serve, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Sure. So I practice at Walney Legal Group. We are based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We also have an office in Waukesha County, which is one of the western suburbs. So you can reach me by Googling Walney Legal Group or at walneylegalgroup.com. My office phone is 414-751-7531. And my email is amayne@walneylegal.com. And I'm licensed both in the state of Wisconsin and in the state of Illinois. So I can help with cases involving those two states.
Terrific. Avery, I really appreciate it. This has been fantastic, and I appreciate you taking the time to share your insights with my audience. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Avery Mayne from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this segment has been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to build their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.